The body of the Nissan Micra endures our winters and copes with the onslaught of the red disease without any problems. The only thing you can find fault with is the thickness of the metal. Here it is quite thin and bends even with light contact. Also, the paintwork is not famous for its durability. As a result, chips and scratches on the car body are a common occurrence. Before buying, be sure to check the condition of the exhaust system. The fact is that it does not have good anti-corrosion protection and quickly rusts. All power units are quite reliable and equipped with a timing chain drive. The chain resource is quite large, 200–150,000 kilometers. But the chain tensioner most likely will have to be replaced with a run of 100–150,000 kilometers. Replacing the chain and tensioner will cost $200–300. The first signal that the tensioner and chain need to be replaced will be a metallic rattling during the cold start of the engine. If you are not sure that you can identify this malfunction yourself, ask the service to check the level of chain tensioner at each maintenance. Also, the thermal clearances of the valves should be checked regularly, as they are mechanically adjusted. The disadvantages of gasoline engines include a small resource of the throttle valve block. It is not repairable and changed entirely. Oil seals leak and failure of the crankshaft position sensor. It is not cheap to replace spark plugs. In order to replace them, you need to remove the exhaust manifold. The fuel filter is structurally made together with the fuel pump, and it will not be possible to replace them separately. On instances with high mileage, unstable engine operation is observed. Often the problem lies in clogged fuel injectors. Cleaning is required. If the idle speed began to walk, most likely the idle speed sensor needs to be replaced. Today, these motors are not longer young, and many of them have more than 100,000 km of run. Therefore, most of them begin to eat up oil. You need to fill in the glass washer fluid very carefully, as there is a big risk of polluting the generator. At best the belt will whistle, at worst it will close the generator. A squeak can also appear from sand and dirt getting on the belt. Many mechanics mistakenly think that the belt is stretched and tighten it, which, as a result, leads to a warp of the tensioner bracket. The Nissan Micra was equipped with one of two types of gearboxes, a 5-speed manual and a 4-speed automatic. Both transmissions are quite reliable and rarely give unpleasant surprises to their owners. Investments in mechanics are required on average once every 120–150,000 kilometers. This is how much the clutch kit serves. Closer to the 100,000 kilometers, it may be necessary to replace the third gear synchronizer. Be sure to turn it on during a test drive, and oil seals. An exception can only be cars with 1.6 engine. In such a duet, the transmission resource depends on the driving style. Automatic transmission with timely maintenance, oil change every 60,000 kilometers, and careful operation will last 200–150,000 kilometers. The Nissan Micra suspension has a fairly simple design. A McPherson strut is installed in front and a beam in the back. If the car is used in normal urban mode, intervention in the chassis is required infrequently. One of the advantages of this suspension is that most parts fit from Renault Clio, which are slightly cheaper than Micra. If we talk about the reliability of the suspension, then, most often, they require replacement of the strut and stabilizer bushing on average once every 50–70,000 kilometers. Shock absorbers and thrust bearings live a little longer, 80–100,000 kilometers. Approximately the same amount, 90–110,000 kilometers, will serve the front levers. The rest of the suspension consumables, with careful operation, take care of 100–150,000 kilometers. The rear suspension can do without repair for more than 150,000 kilometers. The only thing you should pay attention to here is the condition of rubber bushings, anthers, and beam silent blocks. One of the weak points of the steering mechanism is the electric power steering. The fact is that the amplifier has a small resource and changes only when assembled with the steering column, and this is not a cheap leisure. About $500 for used one they ask from $200. Brake pads are enough on average for 30–40,000 kilometers, discs for 70,000 kilometers. To extend the service life of discs, many mechanics recommend lubricating the caliper guides when replacing pads. Despite the simplicity of the Nissan Micra interior design, finishing materials of fairly good quality are used here, so even on car older than 10 years, extraneous noise and squeaks bother infrequently. Basically, the backlash of the glass of the front doors serves as a resource of noise in the cabin. This drawbacks is not treated. The only remark on the quality of finishing materials concern the steering wheel braid. It wears out very quickly. Often, owners complain about the fragility of power windows, the ignition switch, the key stick in the start position, and the tailgate. In addition, on many instances, the airbag control system malfunctions, and moisture appear in the rear light terminal connector. If you are the owner of this car model, please describe the problems that you had to face during the operation of the car. Perhaps it is your review that will help readers of our site when choosing a car.